everybody.
Welcome to the Showstopper podcast.
That's right, with me, Pippa Evan.
And me, Andrew Pogsmee.
We are currently sat in a small room in Jackson's Lane.
Yes, we are.
We're going to be teaching our Showstopper course in a minute, so we thought we'd record this on location.
Yeah, that's right. And Pippa has just been demonstrating some of her capoeira skills to me.
I've done 10 hours of capoeira lessons, so I think I'm now an expert.
Absolutely.
What have we been up to since we last released a podcast, Andrew?
What have we been up to? Well, I have been teaching some amazing people at the Sheffield People's Theatre in Sheffield, surprisingly
Really?
enough. Yeah, so we just had a week exploring musical improv with some amazing people, and it was really just lovely.
Do you remember any of the songs that were sung that particularly stuck in your heart?
Yeah, there was an amazing thing by it was a mixed age group, so we had some kids in it, we had some older people, and there was a scene with a young kid and an older guy who were in the gym. And they were two, not the most sort of aggressive people you've ever met, but they were taking the characters of hard lads, and they just sang this amazing song about being in the gym and being hard lads. It was lovely.
Oh, that sounds beautiful. I spent a bit of time with you, in fact, and the rest of the showstoppers in Ireland, in Dublin.
Yeah. Did you enjoy that, Pippa?
I did. I enjoyed it.
Hello.
There was a bored gosh joke there.
It's a little Irish language joke from Pippa Evans.
Gaelic humour. We had 4 great shows at the Board Gosh, of which the one I really remember was The Idiot in the White House. Was that what it was called?
Yeah, it was called American Idiot in the Oval Office.
American Idiot in the Oval Office. And that was really great, about a man who takes over from Trump. And what we really discovered in that musical was that power really corrupts, but also some funny songs.
Absolutely. I mean, we're the first people to explore that theme. I think we've really come across something new.
It really was. People of Ireland have really got something to think about now. So that's good. But what are we really here to introduce, Andrew Pugsley?
Well, I'll tell you what we're here to introduce. We'll introduce another tweet.
Yes,
that's been sent our way. Here's a tweet from Michael Jones.
Oh, Michael.
He says, I'm criminally behind in listening to the March episode of the Showstoppers podcast, but when I do, I discover that I got another mention for my mention of my mention. So here I am tweeting about how great it is again in the hope of a mention of this mention of my mention of my mention.
Well, Michael Jones, consider yourself mentioned.
Again, I don't think I can run through the logic and work out now how many times his mention has been mentioned, but
It's sort of like a song from Willy Wonka, isn't it? That mention, the mention, the mention.
Yeah.
If you like.
Let's add it to that film. in Pippa Evans' VHS copy, the action stops at one point and she sings the mention of the mention song.
It just covers over one of the Oompa Loompa songs.
Yeah, great, fine. There are too many of them.
It's not too many, Andrew.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Let's not fall out in this small cupboard in Jackson's Lane. But this episode of the podcast that we're introducing is in fact with Mr. Luke Kempner.
Yeah, that's right. You may know him from his work on stage or screen.
That's right. He's sort of known now for doing great impressions on the Now Show on Radio 4 and on Big Brother's Little Brother. He often does impressions of all of the, I was about to say inmates. Is that the right phrase? Are they inmates?
Close enough, yeah.
Housemates, housemates. Inmates, really. It's a prison. Horrible, horrible prison. But he started out in musical theatre. We talked to him about his whole career with the wonderful Jordan Clarke on keys.
And that's right. We recorded this at the Museum of Comedy, which is an excellent place you should go and visit.
That's right, in Bloomsbury, where if you are a big fan of Russ Abbott, like this lady here, you'll be in heaven.
Just for the record, I'd like to point out that Pippa was pointing to herself when she said this lady here, not at me.
We'll keep them guessing. Shall we listen?
Yeah, let's have a listen. Hey, Luke, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here.
Luke Kempner, who I'm just currently looking at Google's results
Your homepage.
And I just went my homepage, my go-to. When I'm feeling down, I Google Luke. Luke Kempner is an exceptionally talented comedian, impressionist, actor and singer.
And puppeteer.
And are you? Oh yes, of course, because you were in Avenue Q.
Yeah, okay.
So why is it not? You should really change your own website.
I should say, for the benefit of listeners, Pippa's pretending pretending this is what first came up when she Googled Luke Kempner. Actually, the first thing that happened, she said, there's a picture of him with no clothes on.
That's true. That is true. There is a picture.
100% true.
Yeah.
So, Luke, we should disclose that you and I have a previous relationship, which may be why this beginning of this podcast is so comfortable, because you and I have worked together on the Now Show,
Yes.
where you do the impressions of famous politicians and others, and usually Andy Murray comes up.
Yes, I do often do Andy Murray on there.
Yes, and I've written the songs in the past, so that's where our relationship began. But you are on this podcast because not many people know that Luke Kempner has a secret past as a musical theatre star.
I do. A musical theatre lovey. Yeah, it's not so secret. But yes, I went to drama school and I was in Les Miserables.
Playing
Marius. Well, I was understudy to Gareth Gates, but I did go on and play Marius.
I did not know that fact.
Did you not?
No, I didn't even. First of all, I did not know that Gareth Gates had played Marius.
Oh, yeah.
What is going on with the world?
Yeah, so I basically, so it was the 25th anniversary cast.
Okay.
And it was my first job. I was like 21 and I understudied Gareth Gates. Yeah. Wow. And Gareth used to, it was sort of fine. Gareth used to play this game where he'd come up to me before the show and he'd go, mate, my back's really hurt and I don't know if I can go on. And then he'd go, I'm only joking. And it was really funny every time. But no, he was, it was fine. It was, like, I loved doing the show. I was desperate to go on all the time, but I went on like 40 times, which was amazing.
Yeah, wow.
And we did it in Paris, in English, which was sort of bizarre, with French subtitles. And then did it at the O2 because there was a big 25th anniversary concert at the O2, which there was a DVD of. So go out and buy that.
With like Matt Lucas.
Yeah, so it was like Matt Lucas, and Gareth was furious because they cast Nick Jonas as Marius, and I loved that. And
you and Gareth stayed in touch?
Yeah. Do you know, we actually did get on, but he was like, goes, mate, I've only cast him because he's a name, and I was like, was that right? Gareth Gates from Popeye. But like, yeah, it was, but it was amazing. Like, you know, like being there at the O2 was just incredible. Like the whole thing was amazing. And, you know, and it's weird with Les Mis because you're sort of treated as a cast like you're in something special. Like, because I've done other musicals after that, because I did it for about 4 years and I did South Pacific and then I did Avenue Q. But there's nothing like Les Mis where you're treated like you're special. And it was, you know, like Cameron McIntosh is often around to talk to you and you very much feel like you're more special than any other show. And then you go and do another show and you realise that it was just a job. But it was amazing, you know, and it's such a great thing, you know, and it made my mum very happy. So, yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah, wow. It's funny talking about doing, just going back a second, doing Les Mis in Paris with French subtitles in English. That's such a bizarre...
Well, because for them, like, you know, the Victor Hugo book is like one of their, you know, it's like on every school curriculum. So it'd be like them coming over and doing Shakespeare in French. Like it would be, you know, so it was kind of weird. We didn't know how they would take it. Yeah. Because, you know, it's sort of sacrilege almost. But they really went for it and it was great.
And presumably the musical's not run in Paris since it had its original French language version.
No, because they did a version of it. I could have these facts wrong, but they did a version of it very early doors because Alain Boublil and Claude Michel Schoenberg, they wrote an early version of Les Mis, which was a bit more upbeat and a bit more 80s pop.
Yeah, the concept album's all on YouTube.
Yes.
Have a Google of it. It's like some of it is hilarious.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Oh, I'm so glad you heard that. Like, because it's really, and there's videos of it like that are hilarious. And but they did that in France and it did awful. So to go back and do it there was kind of an amazing thing. And I played Marius in Paris and Claude Michel Schoenberg came to see the show the night I was on and gave me notes in between shows.
Great.
And it was amazing. He was just like, his main thing, because he's music, so his main thing was sort of about hitting beats and stuff. He was like, you know, he's so Parisian. He was like, you know, he's every time you come on, you need to really hit the notes like that. And I was like, but it was really cool because I really played Marius on the front foot and really, because he's quite, like in the book, he's a really sort of courageous character, where often in the musical, he's quite sort of wet. So I tried to play it this kind of a bit more, because at the end of the day, he's like leading a revolution, you know. So it was amazing to work with the writer. Like, it's just those moments that you just cannot believe. So it was astonishing.
Great. Did you read the book in preparation for the
I
show?
told a lot of people I read the book. And this is the first time I've admitted I read some of the book.
Amazing.
It's very long.
Yeah.
And there's a whole Battle of Waterloo in there that is like about 400 years long. So I read some of it, but I read all of Marius's kind of like background. And then I tried, because what Marius used to do was like, he had no money. Like, even though he came from a rich family, but he had no money. And what he would do, even like he would get enough money to get his food for the day, and then he would buy food for the homeless and give to the homeless. And so like I was like 2 days before I knew what was going on, I was like, I'm going to buy some food for the homeless and see how it feels. And just like when a boiled cheese sandwich I gave to this homeless guy that was like outside Tesco's, and he took it off me and he went cheers and then put it next to him. And I was like, oh, you're not going to desperately eat it and make me feel really good, but no.
Yeah.
But so basically me and Maris kind of like the same.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's how nice to play a character who's almost exactly the same as you.
Oh, God.
So you don't have to do any work.
Never
on
done
that.
it since. But
Never.
yeah. So, but no, yeah, it was. So I did read some of the book, and then because like I think now there's probably a good audio book, but this was like 10 years ago, so I could have just listened to it.
Stephen Fry, only 7 days long.
Exactly,
It's great.
and I would have done that, but no, yeah. So have you read it?
No, I haven't. My mum is watching the BBC
Yeah, I think that's really
dramatization
good.
at the moment. And she texted me the other day saying, "Did you know Eponine and Gavroche are brother and sister?"
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
No,
Should I
because
know that?
No, because it's not in the musical. It's only in the. real
I
story.
see.
That was kind of the.
And
Because that was the point.
yeah.
Right.
but which is absolutely true.
Yeah.
But then in the version I did, Eponine and Gavroche were different ethnicities. So
Yeah.
like they really shouldn't have been. But it's completely in the book. And also like the fact that Eponine and Cosette knew each other so well.
Yeah.
It's really not played out much in the musical where
No.
they grew up together.
Yeah.
Under the
I think
Thénardiers.
you see them when they're
Yeah.
kids, don't you? And sort of, but it's so quick.
Yeah.
Like you would so easily miss that they're actually in the same household.
But no, and when we were in Paris, you could visit like a lot of the places like Rue Plumet and there's like Victor Hugo stations and stuff.
Oh my
like
God,
that.
is there a Les Mis coach tour you
There
can do?
probably
Like you
is.
can do the Friends tour in New York.
I don't know, but we definitely went to 55 Rue Plumet to just get lots of pictures outside it. But but to do it in Paris was like, it was amazing. My parents came over and it was cool.
So you were in that for 4 years, did you say?
No, I did musical theatre for 4
Oh,
years.
okay,
I
okay.
did that for about 18 months.
Okay, so that's still a really long time and only to go on 40 times. Like
Yeah.
did you go on in other capacities, or was it just had to be there and sit there and wait?
No. So I was in the ensemble.
Okay.
So I played Montparnasse, which is part of Thénardier's gang. So I had lines such as "This is his lair, seen the old fox around," and I played like Farmer 1, which was like, "You'll have to go. I'll pay you off for the day. Collect your bits and pieces then, and be on your way." I didn't change the voice.
Character work.
It's been a long time between those two characters.
and then-
They got time to forget it.
And then left and became an impressionist. So, so I changed my voice all the time. But I did think, and it was, and what's great about Les Mis is there's loads of lines like that. So you always had, and I played like the pimp, same voice, which was like, pimp's line was like, how did that, it's like when, during Lovely Ladies, and then it's like, it's when, because Fontaine is there and you're like, "Lovely lady, come along and join us, lovely lady." And then it like goes down.
Oh my God.
"Come on, my dearie, what's all the fuss?" Oh, it's good.
It's funny. I was talking about these little lines in Les Mis the other day when I was teaching a class on musical improvisation, and I was just saying the company were trying to do ensemble numbers with lots of little lines, and I was just trying to buoy up their confidence a little bit. And I said, you need to present this like one of those actors in Les Mis that has that one line. It's like, "Here's my line coming. I smell women smelling through the smoke." And
Exactly.
you got to
Of
teach each
course.
of those lines. It's like, this is my line now.
No, I remember because I used to have that line as the pimp, and there used to be because the stage is massive in Les Mis, because you're doing like 3,000 seaters, so the stage is massive and it's really deep. And you had like people sort of like congregating at the back, filling the stage, but they'd be improvising or pissing around usually. But like, because you haven't got many lines when you're on ensemble, when someone's talking behind you, and I got really annoyed one night and because I just sort of turned around in character, went, shut up! and then like people such as Vanessa Lee Hicks, who's lovely, but she came up to me and she went, can you not shout at me on stage? Thank you very much. And she was kind of right. I just was so just like, I've only got anything to do and I really want this to go well. And the thing is, the audience would never know. But those, like, that's the good thing. And also, like, when you're Marius, for the first kind of 40 minutes of the show, you're in the ensemble.
Yeah.
And you do little bits like, you're like, in the Who Am I, when he goes to court and it's not Valjean, it's like they get someone else and there's like a judge going, send him down. The two people either side are Andras and Marius.
Oh, really?
And those are the bits where you can piss around more than before.
Yeah.
Love a little interesting fact.
Yeah.
So that was 18 months of Lemurs.
Yes.
And then you went straight.
I went to Avenue Q after
And did you go
that.
straight in, or did you have a month of being a waiter, or
I
like what were you doing?
Well, the thing is, my out of work time came before Les Mis because I left drama school and then I sort of had 8 or 9 months of like working in headmasters' hairdressers on reception and doing like little promo jobs and handing out leaflets to get into the Museum. The Museum of Movies, but then after that, I was quite lucky to sort of jump from like Les Mis into Panto into Avenue Q, and then so I did Avenue Q for a year, and then Avenue Q overlapped with South Pacific, and then during the end of South Pacific is when I started writing impression stuff, and then as soon as I finished, I started releasing videos even when I was in South Pacific, and that's kind of where it all started, the comedy side of things.
And what was that transition then from South? Who were you playing in South Pacific?
I was playing the Professor, which
yeah.
is part of the gang of sailors, and you have like a few funny lines, so the transition really was. I didn't know if it was going to work. A friend of mine said, just put your stuff on YouTube. And I wrote these little sketches and I just started putting them on YouTube, and they got, and basically Stephen Fry picked up one of my sketches and tweeted about it.
Oh, wow.
And it was a Downton Abbey sketch. And he tweeted saying, oh, look at this splendid impressionist, splendid display of Downtonry. And that tweet went mad, and then the video went mad, and my phone like melted. And that's kind of when I went, right, I'm going to really go for this. And then James Seabright, a producer we all know, came to me and said, oh, you should do an Edinburgh show. I want to produce it. And then that's when I did The Only Way is Downton, which was kind of my first, comedy show.
Yeah.
So it was kind of amazing. But then I basically sort of had 2 years of going into the comedy industry knowing nothing about it, but was very lucky, and had lots of people going, what, you've never done a gig? And you're like, no, here's my show. Yeah. And then had to start doing gigs 2 years later and realizing that it's a completely different thing. So that was the transition out of South Pacific into, yeah.
And so was there any part of you that was like, ugh, I'm sick of musicals? Or was it just like, oh, I also want to do this? Because I think sometimes our industry really delineates everything. So it's like, you are a musical theatre. Yeah. You can't be musical theatre and a comedian and an impressionist.
Yes.
So I just interested from that point of your brain, it was just something that you wanted to do, or was it, I don't know if I can be in an 8-month run for the rest of my life?
Yeah. No, I was royally bored.
Okay, right.
In every show I did. And I mean that with the greatest of respect, because like there's some people that love it, but I found you're sitting there about to sing at the end of the day, you're another day older, like in 3 costumes because you're boiling hot, and I just didn't. For me, like I need more affirmation, so it wasn't enough for me, and I felt like doing the same thing 8 times a week. 3.5, like South Pacific's 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like the applause wasn't just for me. So I couldn't deal with that. And I liked it for about 3 months, and then I would be bored. And the cast is not, you'd have like 1 or 2 people that I really liked, and everyone else that I sort of got on with. And I just had always the best, because when I was at drama school, at the end of every year, we used to do a big Christmas concert, and I always got up and did impressions of all the teachers in the same style that I do it now, actually, just in a sort of, I do it like a sketch, and it's more like an acting piece really, but it's impressions of everyone and my observations about those people, and it was the best fun I ever had. I never knew at the time I could go and do that as a job, even though I remember a couple of teachers saying, well, you should really try and pursue that. And I'd be like, yeah, okay, but unless Alistair McGowan's going to call me and say, I'm off for a couple of weeks. Like I didn't know how that was going to be a thing. So I was just always like, well, I'll go and be in musicals because that's what I want to do. And I just got to a point where I either need to stop doing musicals and try and be in TV and film, or I'm going to try and pursue this comedy thing. And I just basically got lucky really that Stephen Fry tweeted about it. And then I was offered the opportunity to do this Downton show, and that went well. And then I did that Downton show in America, and then I did a big long run in Toronto, and like that was I'd spent 2.5 years doing the Downton Abbey show.
Wow.
And that's kind of set me up to go, right, well, I'm doing this full time. So it was kind of like lots of good luck and coincidences that made it. So I never had to go, now I'm going to be a comedian. And people that say, oh, would you ever go back to musical theatre? I'm like, well, I never went, I'm closing the door. Yeah. Close every door to. But like, I just
it's already been cast, Luke. It's already been cast.
Damn it. But I just was like, well, obviously I would go back. Like, and I auditioned for The King in Hamilton last year, and got really close, got right down, but didn't get it, and I'm absolutely fine. And wrote my Edinburgh show about it. Did you come to see it?
I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
Yeah. And then I rewrote the ending, the opening number of Hamilton with all my different characters. Damn them. But so it's not like I would never go back, but a year's contract is so long. And it's not like people go, oh, you can write in the day. I'm like, you can't. Like, you're knackered. It's very difficult to do more than the show. Because I tried it, and people go, you could gig on a Sunday. I'm like, you're one day off. You're not going to go, right, I'm going to go and try some new material out. Like, it would be hard to motivate yourself. So what I'd like to do is get to the point where you can be Matt Lucas and go and be in something for 3 months, or like James Corden going and being in One Man, Two Governors, and like that sort of thing. Like, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
But I would definitely go back and do it. Definitely.
Yeah, so it's almost now you've got yourself to a point where you would get the part that would allow you to get the rounds of applause that you need for yourself.
For my ego.
But also that's really great that you acknowledge your ego, because some people sort of would be like, oh, no, I'd be happy being in the ensemble or nothing else. Whereas I know my ego. I need rounds of applause. That's why I do other things outside of Showstopper for my ego.
Absolutely.
So that when
sorry, would you Pippa applause?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
I
didn't get the signal.
Yeah.
No, but you're absolutely right. And like, I sometimes think, what I do miss is the show being written, the tickets already being sold, and it being good. Definitely.
Yeah.
Like, so I miss that side of things, of where like I never had to worry when people came to see Les Mis whether they go, yeah, I don't know if it really works. Like, I think there's some other things you could do with it. Like, I never had to worry about that. Never had to go like, oh God, we've only got 10 people in. Like, it was, so that I miss that side of it. But then if I went back and did that, I'd be missing the ego, the feeling of when you've written something and it works, or the feeling of playing with an audience member. Like, like that, all that side of it you don't get in musical theatre. There are some shows where you get a chance to break the fourth wall, but like not very often. So there's bits of it I miss, and I also miss the camaraderie of being in like whenever I've done improv with you, Pippa, like that, I love that, because you get to be in a team. And you get to be supportive with people, and it's such a nice atmosphere. I was texting you the other day, like, it's such a nice atmosphere, and I miss that from musical theatre. Coming off stage and high fiving and all that sort of thing. We never high fived, but like you come on stage and be like, oh, the show went well, didn't it? Well, I've got friends that are in sketch groups, and they get all of that. Where when you're solo, you come off and go, oh yeah, that's just me.
Yeah, and then you're left alone with your thoughts.
Yeah, I talked to Andy Murray and he says, yeah, it went really well. But like, that's it. You're solo. And I suppose that's that, but then that's why you get more applause just for you.
Now, of course, recently you wrote your first song on the Now Show.
Yes.
And how did that go?
It went well. I was very nervous. I basically first I said, oh, can I just rewrite the lyrics to another song? And that's never something that I've particularly found hilariously funny, if I'm being honest. But I thought it would be easier, and I could just put my characters into a song. But they said no to that, even though I'd seen people do that before. So I was like, oh, but they were like, no, we get in trouble with that kind of thing. So I decided to not do that, and got help from Ben Clarke, who I write a lot with, and he directs my Edinburgh shows. And Yeah, it was really fun, and I got to still do it in my style. Like I did it. It was all about John Bercow and how everyone wants Brexit to stop, and it was like, but I had it as John, and it was good being John Bercow because you could say Prime Minister, and then Theresa May would do her lines, and then Jeremy Corbyn, and he would do his lines. So it was a way I could sort of still do it in my style of a narrative-led piece of all them saying how they want it to stop. But it was great and nerve-wracking though, because it felt, because I've done the Now Show for like 3 years, but to suddenly be doing the song, which I don't, and I'd done it with you quite a few times, but it was never mine. So I was always still an actor as part of a piece. So you didn't have to worry if that was Pippa's job to make that funny. Like my job was to sing it well and be funny delivering it. But it was
That's
weird.
very much my approach to working with Pippa. It's Pippa's job to make this funny.
Yeah, exactly. I've done my work. But it was really pleased with how it went, and I definitely like to do it again.
And does that mean that you might consider doing like an Edinburgh show that was fully sung? Like, would you ever kind of really put those two Venn diagrams together? A musical theatre, one solo Luke Kempner impression show?
I think I'd really definitely next year, I would love to do a story show again, which is what I did. Downton was a story show, and so was my second show, which was Judi Dench Broke My Heart, where the next two shows were more sort of personal. There were sketches, but it was more sort of personal anecdotes, where I definitely want to do a story show again, and I want to do more musical theatre in it, where before I'd sort of gone, no, I don't do musical theatre now. I do comedy, so I'm not going to be singing. And it just took me a couple of years to realise, well, that's something you do. Why not do it? So definitely, I've got an idea that I want to be a musical. So yes is the answer.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
So obviously you didn't get King George. Maybe you're going to get King George another time.
Thanks for bringing it up.
You brought it up. I'm just re-bringing it up. I'm
Okay.
reincorporating what you said. But is there another part that you've already got your eye on? Like, if I could do this for 6 weeks, what would be that part?
There's a part so my favourite musical ever is Parade by Jason Robert Brown. And the main part in that, Leo, is like my dream part, because it's like, the thing is, I'm such a huge Jason Robert Brown fan. I've seen him in concert like 6 times. And the way I love his music, I feel like what I love about his shows is they're real acting pieces. And the songs are really complex, but they're beautiful and you can act through them. The song takes the story on further, and that part in particular is sort of kind of a weird Jewish guy that's kind of wrongfully accused of a murder, and I just feel like there's so much to that story which is exciting. And the part in general, I just think there's so much to it. And I saw, I can't remember his name. Who did I see play it? I can't remember his name. He was just in that what was that series? Dr. Jones? No. Dr. Foster.
Oh.
Did you see Dr. Foster?
No.
Oh, it was amazing. With Saran Jones.
Yeah, I heard it was amazing.
This guy. He played Miss Trunchbull.
Okay.
Bertie Carvel.
Yeah, Bertie Carvel. So he was in it and was astoundingly brilliant. So I've always if they ever brought that show back, that's a part I would love to play.
Yeah, he has his solo in that number as well. It's just it's hard to speak my heart.
Oh my God,
it's just incredible
well,
number.
I sang that for years as my main audition song, because it's just, you can play it very still, but there's so much drama to it. But then I also used to do That's What He Said, which is a part of where this guy is trying to wrongfully frame him, really, but it's an amazing song. And I actually, when I left drama school, they picked the head teacher of the drama school. I'm showing off here, but they picked a boy and a girl from the year to compete in this thing called the Spotlight Showcase, which Spotlight ran. And basically, it's like if you won or came second, you won some money. And it was judged by Hugh Bonneville and, United. There was someone from United Agents, and it was really cool. And I sang that song and came second. And it was it was such a good sort of start to your career, because you're suddenly given £1,500 when you're no money at all. But I sang that song from Parade. But yeah, I love Parade. I still play it and sing along to it at home now.
Terrific, yeah, terrific. It's interesting, Jason Robert Brown in concert as well. I think it's quite interesting that he sings his songs quite differently to
Yes.
the way they're generally interpreted. And like he has a much more sort of like legit kind of classical singing style. And I think it's really quite interesting when he's that you think you have an idea of what a Jason Robert Brown song is, and then he sings it. It's like, he has something different in mind sometimes.
And I think it's surprising. Like I took my mum to his concert recently for Mother's Day, and she was like, "Oh, I had no idea like he had such a good voice." And I'm like, "No, he's got an amazing voice." And I really, I love the way he sings. I think he's got a really interesting voice as well. And of course, he's like just like the most amazing pianist. And just him in concert is phenomenal. And what I love about it as well is like you go. You know, I remember the first time I saw him was like in like a 200-seater, and now he's like doing like 1,500-seaters. Yeah. But you still feel like you're part of a little club. Because you're not like at Hyde Park at the back seeing a person like that's like 2 centimeters tall. Like you still feel like, oh, this is like we're in a little club here.
He did a concert on Radio 3, I think, like a couple of months ago, and and it just and those can be, even the musical theatre concerts on Radio 3 can be quite dry sometimes, but actually it just seemed like such a fun event.
He's really funny, and he's proper lefty and stuff like that, and he was making jokes about Jacob Rees-Mogg and stuff like that. And it was great, and like even just like his songs, like his first song on his new albums called Hope. And he's like, so this song is called Hope, and I wrote it the day after Donald Trump got in. Like that. And it's just like, he's got such a good wit about him.
Yeah. And super dry as well.
Yeah. And I did, when he came to my drama school to do like a masterclass, and so there was 5 of us who got to sing in front of him. Wow. And he like directed us. But you had to pick like 5 songs and only one of his. And he didn't let any of us sing his song. And it was so nice because that's what he said. And I knew it, but he was like, you would never play that part. So why did you pick that song? And I'm like, I really like it. But like, so I was so gutted not to sing that song. And the song he picked I had to do was It Might As Well Be Spring from State Fair, which was definitely a one I went, I don't know that. That. And I was like, it might as well be spring. Like that. And him like having to go like direct me through that. And he was like, think of a girl that could be about. And I'm like, oh, not really, mate. I don't want to be singing this song. It was every other choice I wanted to do. But so it kind of wasn't the pleasant experience I was hoping it was going to be.
When I was at drama school, John Kander of Kander and Ebb came in to do a session with us, and similarly, like one guy had brought in a Kander and Ebb song to sing, and there was that really awkward moment again. So like, well, what have you brought to sing? And he went, well, really embarrassing that I've actually brought one of your songs. And he just went, I love people singing my songs. And it was just
that's
so
good.
Warm and so nice. It was like everyone was sort of like ready for this to be like the most butt-clenchingly awful moment. And then he just turns out to be a really lovely guy.
This reminds me of a story where that... I've now forgotten his name. Who plays Javert in the 10th anniversary?
It's Philip Quast.
Philip Quast, right. So Philip Quast is doing a masterclass with a year above me. And I didn't know. We knew he was coming in, and I heard him he was like Javert's Suicide, and he was teaching someone how to do it. And it was like, you hearing it live was amazing. But I was just outside the room. Anyway, I went and did my class above, and then when I had to go back down, and you could walk through this room. This was at Guildford. You could walk through that classroom to get across the building. It was a lot quicker. And I just went, I'll do that class. I walked straight in to the thing, but didn't really register it was Philip Quast straight away. And I was like, oh, sorry, like that. And when he goes, that's fine. And and then I was like, oh my God, that's me meeting Philip Quast, ruining his class. But yeah, so I have met him.
Well, that's so exciting.
When my wife and I saw Follies with Philip Quast, he has, and he was amazing in that, and like his voice is, just become more awesome, I think, over the years. He's just incredible. But when I think that character has a few lines of dialogue before he sings first, and because even when he's presenting, just dialogue, it's in that amazing, kind of velvety baritone. Yeah. My wife just leaned over and said, I can't wait until he sings.
Oh, that's so nice.
Like just the voice was already like, this is going to be special.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. His voice is, and it's a unique voice.
Yeah.
But like, and for me as well, like, because I've not got a really higher voice. So when I used to listen to Les Mis as a kid, it was Javert was the part I always wanted to play. I mean, I'm never going to play that part, but like, I was always just like, that's the part when it makes it so rich and like he's got a great, like Stars is such an amazing song, and Javert's Suicide is incredible. Love Philip Quast.
Well, Luke, You love Philip Quast, and we love you.
Is he coming?
I really thought you were about to open a curtain there, Pippa.
Hi, guys.
Well, what I'm going to offer you now is going to be slightly disappointing. But we would love to make up a song with you. Would you like to do that?
I would love to do that.
Well, let's get that done.
Yay.
I think we should do one in the style of Les Miserables.
Oh, of course, that makes complete sense.
Of course.
Right. Where is it set?
Let's have it set in a secret garden that only one person in the world knows where the key is.
Okay, great.
Okay.
This is a new garden, one I've not seen before. And I think I'm gonna find the key, and then we'll go and explore.
This is a secret that my family has held for years, and I will hold back the key from you. I promise it will not pass.
Well, I'm gonna have that key. If there's one thing I can promise you,
Don't talk to me of keys, you man.
I will take that key from you.
I will hide it till my dying day be still.
Well, me and my wife, we've wanted to see this garden forever, and you won't stop us. We're going to get into that garden if it's one thing that we will promise you.
Hello, gents. Looking for the key, are ya? Here's a little key standing in my hand. Gonna let you into this secret land.
This will not
If you
stand.
have a coin, you can put it in my hand, and maybe we can talk.
There must be a way I'll find this key. There must be a way I'll take it. There must be a way I'll find my way into that garden.
Take a little key.
I can't wait longer.
Take a little key.
I have to be in that garden forever. I'll see those shrubs one day.
One key to the law.
Where we gotta find that garden.
That
Will we find the key?
Take the key.
I must get it now, and one key
into the law.
into the garden
And the gate
now.
opens wide.
The gate opens wide.
And the gate opens wide.
And look inside.
Gate. Welcome to the secret garden. The gate opens.
And in we go.
Luke, it's been so lovely having
Thank
you
you very
here.
much. Thank
you.
Now, obviously, now you'll have thousands of new fans.
I mean, I'm expecting to not be able to walk down the street.
and if
Last
they wanted to
episode
find
had
you,
448 listeners. So,
oh my gosh, it's probably going to get up to 500, 600.
Yes, please.
So how would they get in touch with you if they wanted to?
Well, all 600 of you, come to @Luke Kempner on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And my website is lukekempner.com. I have a tour in September, or whenever you hear this, come and see that show.
that was Luke Kempner.
That was Luke Kempner. Now, what I found really amazing about that podcast was that I know Luke very well from a radio thing, but I've never really sung with him in a proper way. I'm saying that in inverted commas because we've always sung comedy songs together. So it was so nice to sing with him and hear his Les Mis voice. So I'm really glad that Luke came to join us. And of course, you can follow Luke on the Twitter and look him up and go and see him live.
Yeah, and if you also, you can also follow us.
That's right, you can. @The Showstoppers on Twitter, @Showstopper Musical on Instagram.
Or you can look up our website, showstopperthemusical.com.
That's right. While you're on the internet, maybe you'd like to rate this podcast.
As long as you rate it 5 stars.
That's right, 5 stars. We're like an Uber driver. It's no use to us if you rate us anything less than 5.
Yeah, and you can give us a cheeky little review whilst you're there.
Yes, a cheeky one, but not blue. Just cheeky.
Absolutely. Just, I'd like you to toe the line of decency. Just push the envelope, but not too far.
So from this cupboard in Jackson's Lane. Goodbye.